Hello Taurus, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your recent past, your current energy, and your immediate future, answering the question, what do you need to know right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self? Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Taurus. Let's jump on in. We're going to start, as always, with overall energy through oracle cards, and then we'll dive deeper into what's going on below the surface with tarot. But first, I want to see what you guys have been dealing with. So looking at this recent past energy, what has Taurus been dealing with and what do they need to know about it? So you have wishful thinking, which this also kind of gives me the energy of daydreaming about something that you desire, an outcome, a life, a path, whatever it might be. But then you have the void. So here's the thing. I feel, and then approval. Choose to approve of yourself and others will too. Interesting. Okay. I feel like this void energy is about feeling really lost when it comes to creating the things that you desire. There might even be this like energy of like, what do I even want? What do I want to create? But there is something here that you do want, but that I feel feels so out of reach that it almost feels like you're not giving yourself approval to desire it. Now, it might not be in the exact form that you're thinking, but like the love that you deserve, the success that you deserve, the abundance, freedom, peace, like all of these things that you truly desire, I feel like maybe even just one thing specifically, it's like you've written it off as wishful thinking. Oh, that's not possible. Oh, only in a perfect world kind of thing. And I feel like that's kept you in this void, this energy of, working a job that you hate, or staying in a relationship that is unfulfilling or doesn't align with your highest good, or staying in places that you don't really belong because you've kind of written off these things that you desire as like impossible or not meant for you, or whatever the case is. And that's common. It's not something that you should shame or blame yourself for, but I also feel that this is about giving yourself approval to want the things that you want and to maybe even start to take steps toward them, because I don't necessarily know what this is like referring to, whether it's a job or a relationship or a path in general. So many different things. It's like there's more possibilities than you think that there are, but if you write off something as impossible, you're not going to see those opportunities, right? You're going to be completely closed off to them. Current energy for Taurus. So it's like you've been stuck in this void. And maybe that's even the case, is like, you want more, but you don't exactly know what that looks like. So you're like, well, I guess I'll just stay in this. Current energy for Taurus. Now you could be awakening to this, or this could be something you're already awoken to, and now you're trying to figure out how to navigate it. Approval again with self-love. And then you have fear. Your fears are keeping you from moving forward into the life that you deserve. It's like, I think one of the things that I've learned about self-love is that it's not a feeling. It's not always feeling super deserving and worthy and confident, but it's making decisions that prioritize you, that prioritize your needs and your desires. And I feel like that's something that either you stopped doing or have never really done. And I feel like this period of your life that you're in is about getting back in touch with you and what it is that you do desire. And I think so much of the time we start writing off our desires in the name of survival. And we say, well, these are the things that I need to do. Like, these are my responsibilities. These are my obligations. I'm too far down this path to change course. Like I'm too far into it, right? And so we keep heading down a path that we know doesn't really align with our heart or our soul or our desires, but that we feel almost obligated to stay in. And that's what this feels like. It's like an obligation to continue down a certain path, even though there are other opportunities that are available for you. Now, for some of you, this could be like, yes, the things that you want are meant for you, but you have to choose them. I think so much of the time we wait for the universe to, give us all of this proof that the things that we want, that we can have them, but some of what we're actually looking for is not that proof, but giving ourselves the like making that decision to say, this is what I deserve, this is what I want, and I am going to be unapologetic about it. So I feel like there might be a lot of fear around some sort of goal or desire, which is keeping you from taking steps toward it altogether, which is keeping you maybe in an energy of settling for less. And I think that is probably one of the most common things that I see in reading. So again, there's no need for shame and blame, but I feel like Spirit is trying to draw your attention to this to try to get you to say, you know what, I do deserve more, and I'm going to start to create that by taking baby steps toward it. What does Taurus need to know moving forward? Awakening. Speaking up. Boundaries, unwavering faith. I love this energy because this is the energy of taking your power back. I feel like you've been through some things in your life that have made you feel really powerless, almost like you don't have control over, what happens to you. And to a certain extent, we don't, but we do have control over how we show up and how we respond, right? And I feel like because what this awakening is it says you are no longer letting people dictate and run your life for you, right? So I think we wait, for our boss to see our value. We wait for our partner to finally step up. We wait for our friends to try to finally treat us the way that we deserve. And we settle for what we can get in hopes that things are eventually going to change. And then when they don't change, we go, oh, that must mean that there's nothing better meant for me. But I feel like what this energy is about is reclaiming your power over certain things in your life and no longer saying, since this is out of my control, this is impossible, but saying, if this partner won't change, if this person won't meet me where I deserve to be met, then I'm going to change. I'm going to set stronger boundaries. I'm going to distance myself if necessary. If my boss won't, treat me the way that I deserve, then I'm going to look for another job or go out on my own and start a business, whatever the case is. And obviously these things aren't easy, but I do feel like you've been kind of holding a lot in around what it is that you want. Almost maybe there's even a guilt around wanting more or feeling a desire around more. It's like you've been keeping it locked under a lid, and I feel like it's almost like you can't ignore it anymore. Like your soul is calling you in a direction toward more, whatever that looks like. It's not necessarily always about, wealth and luxury, but maybe it's more peace, maybe it's more love, maybe it's more time to invest in the things that bring you joy. Whatever it is, I feel like your soul is saying, I feel trapped and I need that expansion, and you're being asked to really step into the energy of allowing yourself to choose and make decisions that might be hard, but align with your soul more, even if there is fear there, because that's what faith is all about. That's what self-love is all about. It's making decisions to say, this is what I deserve and this is what I desire. And the worst thing we can do is not go after the things that we desire. They say that the people when they're on their deathbed, this is intense, but when people are nearing the end of their life, the things that they regret aren't actually the things that they did and messed up or failed at, but the things that they didn't do, the decisions that they didn't make, the conversations they didn't have, the choices that they avoided. Like, that's what most people regret. And when we recognize that, we kind of stop waiting for life to happen and we start happening to life. We start making decisions that decide that are in our power and say, I'm going to decide for myself how I'm treated. If this person isn't going to treat me well, then that means that's not the right thing for me. If this relationship isn't serving me, I'm going to stop trying to change people and I'm going to start choosing the people that align with my soul, and trusting that there are people out there that are going to treat me the way that I deserve. So this is like a reclaiming your power kind of reading. And I think that reclaiming your power readings are always equally as exciting as they are difficult, because reclaiming your power sometimes means making the difficult decision. It means making the choice that does serve you and serves what is best for your needs, even if it affects, people around you. And I think that that's where it's hard, is we have to be willing to choose ourselves, even if it means losing people, or if it means like ruffling feathers, or if it means facing fear, whatever the case is. Overall theme of this reading for Taurus. Yeah, because it's like your soul is guiding you to stand in your light and speak your truth. Because you want change here. You have conclusions are within reach. You want change. You want things to be different. But I feel like you're afraid of making certain changes. And that's natural and that's normal. But I do feel as if your soul is, it's like it's now or never kind of. You have hold your vision with be bold and make the first move. And that I definitely get bold in this. Like, you're being asked to stand boldly in your truth, to stand boldly in your power, to stand boldly in what it is that you deserve. Even if you're shaky when doing it, it's not about doing it perfectly. It's not about not stumbling, but it's about saying, I know who I am and I know what I'm after. And even if I, stumble in my decisions, like I'm still going to make the ones that serve me, that protect my peace, that align with my worth, things of that nature. So if you're being called to make some sort of a change in your life, I feel like now is really the time to do it. And it's like opportunities that will open up for you once you do. But let's look at this past energy here for you, Taurus. Wishful thinking with the void. So what have you been dealing with? Let's break this down a little further. Whoa. The Chariot in reverse. It's like a lack of progress, a lack of moving in the direction that you desire. It's like feeling stuck almost. Can also represent like reaching some sort of a dead end with a situation where it's like you've tried everything you can and it just isn't working. Yeah, because the Three of Pentacles in reverse, it's like pieces not falling into place, like trying to put together a puzzle and missing a bunch of pieces and not being able to connect it all. But there's a fear of loss. And that makes a lot of sense. So much of the time we're afraid to lose what is good enough in pursuit of the things that we desire. I read once something that said, the most dangerous life is one that is good enough. One that we settle for because it's like, oh, this is okay. It's not what I desire or what I deserve, but it's okay. It's safe. It's secure. It's predictable. But so much of the time we make decisions that feel safe, secure, and predictable because of fear, and then we allow that fear to dictate the outcome. So then it's like we never experience the things that we want because we chose to play it safe in our life. So I feel like that is kind of what this energy is about, like playing it safe in some sort of way. Empress in reverse, not taking care of you, not choosing you, not prioritizing you. Maybe it's your mental health. Maybe it's your physical health. Maybe there are certain obligations in your life that caused you to sacrifice your mental, emotional, and physical health. And I feel like that's what taking your power back is all about. It's making the choices that say, like, there is nothing more important in this world than your mental health. Taurus, wow, a lot of these are in reverse. And sometimes we have to prioritize that even when it's especially when it's hard. There's a lot of control in this energy, trying to change a situation, trying to change an outcome, trying to make something different, instead of just letting go. I think, and I get that. I struggle with control more than the next person, but one of the things that I've really learned about control is it's funny because we try to control to find a sense of safety and security, which actually provides us with more stress and anxiety. And if we would just let go and trust that however things unfolded would unfold exactly like they're meant to for us, then we would actually experience more ease and security in life, which is what we're trying to create by controlling. So I feel like there is a need to let go of certain things that you're holding on to or certain ideas of what you think needs to happen, and allow yourself to make the decision that serves you. And I think that I see this a lot in relationships, right? We hold on to a certain idea of a person, who they could be if they healed, and who we want them to be, and who we wish that they were, and we hold on to that idea of them, but then we settle for where they're at and what they provide us, which makes us unhappy and unfulfilled. I think that you have this sun available to you, this fulfillment, this happiness available to you, but it's almost like trying to find happiness in a situation that continues to make you unhappy. And I think so much of the time we do that because we're afraid that our happiness doesn't exist in any other outcome. But what if there was a different way? I feel like that's what Spirit's really asking you. Because yeah, you have be bold to make the first move. So what does Taurus need to know about their current energy, approval with self-love? It's like giving yourself the approval. You don't need, your feelings don't need to be approved by others, right? Like if you feel like you're not being treated well, you can believe that. If you feel like you're not getting what you deserve, that is valid, but you have to believe that you're worthy and deserving of more instead of waiting for everybody else to see that. Because if our life is a mirror and we're waiting for the world to see our worth before we take action believing that we're worthy, we're going to be waiting forever. We have to decide that for ourselves in order for the world to reflect that back at us. Current energy for Taurus. Yeah, you're closing out a cycle here. And it feels like a cycle of waiting. A cycle of waiting for things to change, waiting for things to improve, waiting for things to happen. There's something to be said for patience. And I think so much of the time, yes, we have to let the universe have some breathing room to work for sure. But also, so much of the time, we miss the steps that we're needing to take, right? The relationship with the universe, the creation relationship with the universe is one of co-creation. It's one where, the universe will meet you where you meet yourself. So if you show up saying, I'm worthy and deserving of more, the universe will conspire to make that happen, but you are the one that initiates that. And I feel like there's this energy of kind of like being in certain places and just kind of like distracting yourself, like getting through the day, getting through the week, getting through the month. But your life isn't meant to you're not meant to just get through your life. You're meant to live your life with intention in a way that says, each decision that I'm making is coming from a place of, choosing what I deserve. And I think so much of the time we think that that's naive, that it's not, if we choose our worth, we're going to end up alone or we're going to end up with no money. But that way of thinking where it's like I either settle or I have nothing is often what keeps people from the things that they desire. Because what if the universe was there to support you to more, but you don't believe it's possible, so you accept less, right? All right, current energy for Taurus, because yeah, you're being asked to move, to face your fear head on right now. And I think that again, I'm definitely speaking to a collective that has been distracting themselves from some sort of action, like knowing deep down you need to do something, you need to make a move, you need to make a change. There's something that needs to be addressed, but avoiding it. And I'm sure your reasons for that are valid, right? But the more we avoid the fear, the more that we avoid the short-term discomfort of making the decisions that deep down we know we need to make, the more long-term suffering we create. And I think so much of the time, I know in my own life too, it's like I avoid the short-term decisions because you don't want the suffering that comes with that, but then in turn you create more suffering. So in the moment it might be easier, but long-term it's harder, right? So I think that, yeah, you're being asked to face fear head on, but that's not, it's almost like, but you don't have anything to be afraid of. Like the universe is going to be there to meet you. What does Taurus need to know moving forward? Awakening with speaking up. And this is a beautiful energy, all about reclaiming your power. And I think that, reclaiming our power, it's kind of a vague statement, right? Like, what does that really mean? And what it boils down to is it's no longer letting life happen to you, but deciding to start happening to life. And I think that, we can do that in some ways, but struggle with it in others. So this isn't, a reading or like, oh, you've been failing, you've been making all the wrong decisions, because that's not how I want this to be taken. But sometimes, we do have to look at our life and we have to be like, okay, what's in my power and what's in my control? What am I letting happen to me that doesn't align with my worth? How am I letting certain people treat me or speak to me? Or what am I accepting so little of in return of giving an abundance of my energy? And so when we start asking ourselves those questions, we start to take our power back, because it's like, okay, I can set a boundary here. I can have an honest, hard conversation here. I can start looking for other opportunities here. Like, that's what's in our power. If we just wait for things to happen, if we just wait for things to change, we will be waiting forever. All right. Slow and steady wins the race. Knight of Pentacles. This is about taking baby steps. And I think that's what's so hard is like, your life can change like pretty drastically in the span of a year. I say that from personal experience. But you have to be the one to put one foot in front of the other to create and elicit that change. And I think that like if you want change, you have to embody what is in your power and your control to create that change. And I think a lot of times what that means is making the decisions that we avoid making. For me, like it can be like facing addiction. Like I had to be honest about certain things that I was addicted to that kept me from being able to fully step into my potential. I had to get honest about the way that I handled relationships, the conversations that I was avoiding, the boundaries I wasn't setting, the ways that I wasn't speaking up about what I need, the ways that I was speaking more from, insecurity than compassion. Like there were so many things that I had to address within myself to be like, okay, here's what I can do to show up in the best way that I can. Everything else is out of my control. And as long as I'm focusing on how I'm showing up for me, I can trust that the universe has my back. Because this is kind of this energy of like, it's up to you. Like you can stay exactly where you're at, or you can make decisions to move forward. And neither decision is going to be the wrong decision, because whatever decision you make is going to lead you to whatever lesson, healing, growth, expansion, evolution is necessary for you and your soul in this moment. So this isn't like, if you don't make this decision, you're screwed for the rest of your life, because that's not entirely true. It's not true at all. It's just saying, it's kind of like nothing ever changes and nothing ever changes. If you want to be loved well, you have to choose people who are capable of loving you well. If you want financial freedom, you have to stop trying to prove your worth and start knowing, what it is that you bring to the table is worth compensation, and start showing up in that way. Like, and this is again coming from experience. For so long, I let my life happen to me. I let things happen to me, and I played the victim, and I was frustrated with everybody around me, and everything was always everyone else's fault. And I did this for so long, and I was so miserable. And when I started looking at my life and saying, like, here are the things that I can do, and yes, it's scary, and yes, it's overwhelming, and yes, you face a lot of fear and anxiety and all these things, but that's where your power lies. It's not in trying to control what happens to you, but it's about taking the information from what happens to you and saying, okay, now that I know this is how this situation is, here's how I'm going to show up and respond. And that's what leads to change. Yeah, because then you have the Six of Wands. This is all about success. So reclaiming your power, you're in the process of reclaiming your power. That's a lot of what you're going through right now. And it will lead to success. But you have to be willing to face that fear that comes with, again, like if I don't settle, what if I have nothing? I remember that was a big question I asked myself for so long. If I don't settle and accept less than what I truly desire, I won't have anything. I won't have the money that I need. I won't have the relationship that I need. I won't have the friends that I need. Like I was so certain that if I didn't accept less, I wouldn't have anything better. And I think that belief is one of the biggest things that hold people back, because then you're not going to see other opportunities, and all of your energy is going to be taken up by things that don't serve you, because you don't think anything better is possible. So one of the number one ways to create better in your life is to first step into the energy of better is possible, and I don't really know how right now, but I'm going to find a way, and I'm going to show up knowing my worth, knowing what I bring to the table is worth being valued, and whatever doesn't value that just isn't meant for me. It's obviously not so easy in theory, or it's easier in theory than it is in practice. But when we really step into and embody that energy, that's where we start to create change. All right. I'm going to hop on over to the extended. We're going to dive deeper into this, looking at ultimately what do you need to do right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self. Any information for that is in the description box below. Thank you so much, Taurus, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Taurus.